He got initiated, I lost a friend. You know, and how many people, devotees start to fight just because they got initiated? There's something wrong, you know. Kind of doesn't work. I don't want to be detailed. That's the problem when you are too long around. I know situations where devotees of individual disciples start to color their devotees differently, to distinct from each other. We are this league of disciples, and you are this league of disciples. You know, it was in India, it was not in the US. So, I mean, this is the result of initiation. That you polarize immediately, separate everything, and nowadays we are even afraid to quote a spiritual master. Didn't you notice? The initiated disciples don't quote a spiritual master anymore. Did you hear some lecture where somebody says, and my spiritual master said? I don't think there's much of this. And you know what I will do to you now? I will quote even my God brother. I'm not his disciple. I'm not his disciple. But I'm surviving vocabulary by his mercy, I can say very boldly. And I will not tell you even a name. Because it can be controversial. Nowadays you quote God brother, it's controversial. Wow. I don't want to get too emotional, but it's a severe disease going around. It's a severe problem we have here. Disciples are almost ashamed to quote a spiritual master. Because what about it? The other spiritual master said something else, or who knows? Prabhupada, that's nice. Krishna, that's nice. Well, that's basically what they call rhetoric, isn't it? So I will quote a God brother who stresses this one point, and this is just a personal talk to me, this is not some public statement here, but it contains a very deep point. That this conditioning is so deep, that's as conditioned we are. Believe me, we are more the body as we think. It's always the easy by the dint of the mind. Sometimes the Buddhists told me, my heart, I feel a friend of everybody. No, it's not the heart, it's the mind. They mix the mind with the heart. You cannot distinguish even between the mind and the heart. So mentally, I can tell you anything. Mentally I can tell you that you don't know that. But Manidhara has the ability to fly. Because after this lecture I will take a little fly over Copenhagen. I can do that. I can completely be convinced in my mind I'm flying. And then somebody said, hey, you are not flying. And I say, well, you don't have the eyes to see. Because I have the eyes to see. That's where lunacy comes in. Lunatic means mental platform. Mental platform automatically means lunacy. That's the first privilege of lunatic. He never leaves the mental platform. Just because it gets accelerated. So people think now he is really crazy. No, they are all crazy. It's just the speed of mind is different. He is like, you know, and another one goes, I think in my opinion, I believe. It's a slow motion mental madness. And then this one, speed it up and he goes, yes, I can see it, yeah, see, it's happening. That's the madman. So with the conditioning so deep, it seems that the attainment of actual Krishna consciousness is highly impossible without the guidance of a guru. So devotees can be kept on the right path and don't settle into false designations. That's again mental platform. And it's so deep, it follows us all the way into Krishna consciousness. Especially because we have so much to identify with. We get so much knowledge. Okay, we read here, we are not Narayana, okay, we skip that identification. But what about advanced Vaishnavas? Look, this is here. And how did advanced Vaishnava looks like? Yeah, he looks like that. And he dressed like that. And he acts like that. And that's me. Is it? Is it? Well, maybe it is. But let's see by action. It's always the action in the end. Let's see what he does. And action, all this action here, walking and cleaning, this mundane action. No, we have to be more, you see, I'm more Pandit type. Action brings you immediately into a field to discriminate. Good, bad, management. Management of a small, any kind of management brings you into this field, to discriminate. Now you try to be a manager and not to discriminate. Oh, Paramahamsa Prabhu come in and Paramahamsa Prabhu this and Paramahamsa Prabhu that, and at the end you have a perfect lunatic asana. By self-designated, mentally situated people. And mind is sankalpa and vikalpa. So automatically here goes the steadiness. Nothing can be developed in a steady fashion in a mental platform. And when you collect people who hover on a mental platform, they simply amplify the mental platform. One mental one adds to the next mental one, and then mental one, and then we have the perfect vimuktamanina mental movement. Or people who just do, and then they do, This one of my another Godbagger who is more humorous and more bizarre in his expressions told me, hey, I just saw how a very new Bhakta is taking shelter at his lotus feet and explaining for 1 hour what his problems are. And after 1 hour, I was long actually, I was watching this, my eloquent preaching, my highly elevated preaching Godbagger walked out and he just laughed and he said, he's playing his mental harp. Harp is an instrument like strings and you play it. Ding, 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 ding. It's a quite good example because the harp has only this range of strings. And you can play only this much from here to there, but you can play it back and forth. Ding, 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 and you can go the whole day like this. But it's the same sound, It's just going back and forth and back and forth. Sankalpa and vikalpa. That's it. That's what people do all the time. I sing kind of like this, and I sing kind of like this, and I sing kind of like this, and I sing kind of like that. I read in it down devotion. Goswamis are like that. And I am like a Goswami like that. And I am like this, and I am like that. That sound is everywhere. Everybody plays the mental harp. Just la 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 la. I think I am like that, and I am like this. It's like dressing, Yeah, you can completely, nowadays it's completely established, you change your identity by dress. Fashion. It's a one big fashion show. We assume identities, put them on. In the extremes case, you call it carnival. That's where really people put up far-out masks and change identities and can do completely foul things, we say normally don't do. So this whole world is about big carnival where everybody has at least 8,400,000 outfits to fit in. Species, types of outfit. We should not reproduce this in Krishna consciousness. And here you have the solution to that. We have to have a guru. Kind of guru. There's different kind of gurus. But without somebody telling us, nice dress you have, but I would like to give you a little information. It's just a dress. And you go, what do you mean? That's me. You will sigh. But the makeup is a little bit getting liquid here. You look a little bit more like a clown. No, that's me. We go, for Krishna consciousness becomes like a dressing cupboard. You open a cupboard and you go, Goswami, Maha, Paramahamsa, what? This is nice, our dressing is very nice. And then we go around and the whole movement becomes like, hello, how are you? Very nice dress. It's all one and the same. You say, wonderful dress. And then he goes, yes, how's a wonderful dress? And we just copy the society of cheaters and cheaters. Isn't it what the kamis are doing the whole day? Just dressing up for the occasion, carrying mental concept. They get them from the TV, we get it from Bhagavad. Don't worry, the result is exactly the same. Because it doesn't fit. It's children, like children. In devotees' cases, very often it's like childish. But the result is not so childish. The result is that nobody is attracted. Because who is attracted to some false display? They go, yeah, he's playing a nice show, but what about him? This is the fall down of the church. And any religious institution who is filling up with people who just, did I say this in the Prabhupada discussion we had here with the Pope kissing the blood?
No, you mentioned
This is really entertaining. It's a footage, actually, you can find it on the internet. Pope revealed a new wonder. Actually, the new Pope did a new wonder. There is a wonder. Because on his travels through Italy, visiting the holy places, he came to a church where they keep. Church is full of this kind of the holy tooth of him, and in Prague you can go to a church, there's an open coffin with a mummified monk in it, which is there for hundreds of years. Quite open coffin. There was a scandal, somebody put a beer can inside, whatever. So they put a glass covering, so nobody can put anything in that coffin. Anyway, so church is full of this kind of bizarre artifacts, this is the tooth of him, and this is the bone of him, and this and that. So they have a box which contains a dried out blood sample of a great saint, Italian saint. And because it was drying more and more, they put it in a capsule. And that capsule is located in a round box, glass box of this size. And it is recorded whenever somebody who is a really powerful Christian comes close to it, that the dried up sample of blood becomes liquid. It becomes really liquid. You can see it. So that's the miracle. So when the Pope came in a church, and he saw that box, and they showed it to him, he touched it. The dry blood sample started to become a liquid. And the church was going, ooh. And they showed him, you must be the chosen one. It's liquid, it's liquid. They showed it. It's all on camera. Usually the face of the Pope. I mean, he was totally confused. He looked like this. What is it? He was not properly informed in what it is. And he was like, well, that's the miracle you performed. And he was going, what am I doing here? What shall I do now? You can see it on that footage. And he's like, and they're going, you have to kiss it. And he was like, and he was going, okay. Did I do my job here? Okay, that's okay. I performed it. Was it okay? He was completely disconnected from the whole thing. He was like, it's like somebody giving you a pair of skis, in a hand in the middle of the summer, and you're supposed to do something with it. That was his facial expression. And then he was performing a miracle. How more external things can get. And then immediately the scientists came up. What? Hey, I can perform miracle too. You know what happens? When you shake that thing, that sample of blood chemically responds to the structure of the box and becomes liquidified. Because they were shaking it all the time. That was immediately the scientific explanation. And immediately the whole thing starts, a big discussion. Was it a miracle? Was it not miracle? And the Pope stands there like, okay, let's say I perform a miracle, but let's go home now. Because actually, he doesn't understand anything of this. He's just a guy from Argentina, social welfare worker. That's all. That's what he did. Anyway, and he went through the procedure, you have to go learn. There's a huge hierarchy, and you have to have the right dress. In India you find it much more simple. In India they simply have a fancy gamsha or something like this. In a Catholic church there's like a big dresses and all this. It's a whole procedures of this, and you have to follow the whole thing, learn the right recitation of the right, mantras and this. Then you one day become Pope. In India, it's quite simple. My father was a Pope, and I have a silk gamsha, and I walk around with a big Brahmin string. And one of the real good qualifications for being a Brahmin in India, you must be fat. You must have a big belly. And you have to have a heavy tea locks and kavacha size of this, like a leather box. Then you go, and you bless the babies. That's it. And you get a good donation. So it's like, yeah. So this churchism is very rare. We should be alert that the only thing which can keep us out of the range of false designations and these illusory things which are simply generated from the mind is actually that we are under the instruction of spiritual master. As much as possible, as daily as possible, and as clearly as possible. It's a big issue. I don't want to go more in details, because this is discussed since 40 years. So I don't want to. And who is me to? I just know that artificial things, artificial designations don't work on both sides. Everybody suffers from that. The guru and the disciple. So to come to reality, we have to turn really our eyes to the practical challenges we have at hand by spreading Krishna consciousness. Simple Prabhupada maybe you know what he said. Everyone should be friendly for the service of the Lord. That means only on that platform we can claim some oneness. It's not an emotional platform, sentimental platform, it's a practical platform. You want to become one, then become one with a mission. Become one in service. And that was already practiced. Nothing more ecstatic as a kirtan when you come Saturday night from a whole week book distribution. That's oneness. I could give you, from that field, very good examples how you become one. You know, Sankirtan man. That's an environment which is nowadays hardly known, but it means to travel with 4 brahmacharis in a cramped, in a small space, where you sleep, eat, and distribute, and dress, and anything. There's still some who can remember that. Quite a challenging atmosphere. Zero privacy. Zero. And, to travel with devotees who are not really trained, relatively new devotees, and who is trained anyway, it can get very edgy. Starting right away in the morning with a chant. He chants, and you have this kind of thing 10 centimeters away from your ear. How do you chant your rounds? So we had one solution for it. We just go out and spread through the forest. So okay, but then it was 7 o'clock in the morning, we meet at the car departure time. Still the atmosphere was very tense. Sometimes. Bravo, leave me alone. Then we just went through our routines, we chanted our, prayers on the way to the distribution place. When the list arrived, then there was some prasadam. Still very tense. Disastrous. I remember I traveled with one godbrother called Alanand. He had a very simple solution for prasadam while traveling. He had a huge pot, one of these big pots in the kitchen, that was standing in a car with lid on it. And there was granola in it, or muesli. And everybody in the morning could take muesli in his bowl, pour some milk over it or something, and that was the prasadam. And some fruit. That was it. So, the only sense gratification I remember from that time was that I found out that if you buy dry bananas, dry bananas, they are very sweet. So I chopped them like sausages and I put them in my muesli. That was super sense gratification. And then we went out. And one day, right away on one day, when he left it, and he made it himself, the pot. Kind of granola, granola that's like fried muesli. And then, he had this big pot. So I was a very new devotee. And he said, okay, there's a pot with granola, where's the milk? And I said, here! And I poured the milk into this big pot. He almost killed me. Because, after one day already, the granola became cheese. So I ruined the whole pot. And I remember he got almost physical, really. So in such an atmosphere, you have to be very, very tolerant, But we had a very practical experience. The whole day book distribution in one day. Everybody comes back, Panchakalpatarubhischa, 10 years of obeisance to devotees. The evening programs were so sweet. They were just so nice, reading together Bhagavad Gita, after getting beaten the whole day by German demons. Oh, that was so purifying. It was so nice. Cannot imagine what that kind of service does to people. Not this, Prabhu, 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 Prabhu. Because let's face it, sometimes we walk around and think about each other, we are really idiots. I mean, not me, the other. So, so that's the reality. How do we overcome that? By becoming friendly for the service of the Lord. Which automatically requires cooperation, automatically requires, that's humility. How you submit yourself to be part of something which, of a cooperative effort to spread Krishna consciousness. Not how you start to think that you are the eighth Goswami, not this. That's all mental progress. So, yeah. So it's a big issue, but Prabhupada was very, very ferociously attacking this pseudo-Paramahamsa spirit and warned us also all, don't do that. No amount of austerity, no amount of sadhana will compensate, the surrender to a spiritual master. There was this nice story how devotees reported in Mayapur, actually the first Mayapur festival. They reported to Prabhupada, there is a devotee. He is really advanced. I don't know nowadays, but when I went to Mayapur, every time in Mayapur I met really nice crazes. People who just assumed under the spiritual impact of the inspiration of Lord Chaitanya that they are his intimate associates. I remember one Mayapur, they have it regularly. And the devotee running around the compound, just then the guards got to collect him and put him somewhere on a plane again. Because this is what I want to illustrate now, ecstasy without a spiritual master. So this devotee here was reported, Prabhupada, that he is now not associating with anybody. Those days Ganga, nowadays I didn't saw it much, I was not there for quite a while, but Ganga created even islands in the middle. Sometimes it went low, and there was even islands in the middle. So he swam across to the island. Now he's just sitting there and just chanting the holy name. Prabhupada was not saying anything. The next day they said, Prabhupada, he's so advanced. He's not eating anything. He's just drinking Ganga water and chanting and chanting and chanting. Prabhupada didn't say anything. The next day they said, Prabhupada, increase the number of rounds. He's just chanting day and night. He doesn't sleep anymore. Didn't say anything. The next morning somebody dared to come up with this again. He said, he looked very heavy and he said, but he's not following the instruction of spiritual master. Period. Nobody ever managed to dare to mention this again. And this fellow disappeared again. So we should not be mistaken. We are all here. As Prahlad was only possible to preach, speak, and survive the atrocities of his father by the mercy of this Narayana Muni, by the mercy of spiritual master. You should never forget, we didn't brought anything. He got it all. Whatever we can offer to the spiritual master is actually what he gave us. We take it and we kind of give it back. Thank you. That's the only magic word which we can offer, which comes from us. That's the only thing we have to say thank you. That's what this whole process is based on. Anything else, development of one's identities and the intellectual progress, and incredible. This is very likely coming from the mental department. And the proof of this is the more you acquire, the more profitable you get. Because the first symptom of knowledge, Krishna defines in the Bhagavad Gita, is humility. That you know that you don't know. That's a big realization. Not many people have that. I know that I don't know. Anything else, just the dressing room open again. What do you want? Well, I think Vaishnava is like that, and I am like that. Okay, we can play the game, but people can very sense it, emotion. I notice really, it's amazing how people work. They can sense, this is false. I have enough falsity around me anyway. I don't want to join another one, and especially because they are so traumatized from all this church and everything. So they just, Or you have people coming and saying, wow, they cheat each other so nicely here, I can do it too. And you can, what? 2 days in Krishna consciousness, Vaishnava, Vaishnava, Vaishnava. Just from yesterday, fantastic letter regarding the first editors. We don't want to mention names, but you will for sure know who I'm talking about. Prabhupada writes emergency letter. That was the first editor of his books. He writes emergency letter. I heard from Gaga-muni that our, big man, practically first devotee who joined, he is in India preaching, we know that, I sent him there. But he is now daily smoking ganja with another devotee, So he should immediately leave India and went to New Vrindavan where they don't grow ganja. That was Prabhupada's immediate, and it was not even confirmed really. It was just one devotee mentioned he's doing that. Prabhupada immediately went alert and he said, immediately out of India, because in India it goes there. So it's just like, so much for the first editors. That was 3-4 years down the line after initiation. It was not some kind of hippie stuff. We are discussing here, this is so pathetic. First the ganja and then the edition, the editorial work. Let's address this one. You see, sometimes we don't. And we don't want to embarrass or demonize anybody, but let's deal with the problems at hand first. First comes first. Not somebody comes in and deal up, and you can do this. You can dress up, you can shave up. Every Vaishnava has a devotee. Yeah, so have millions of Hindus. Every Vaishnava has a tilak. You know how many tilaks you find in India? All kinds. This way and that way and this way. And so what? He's a Brahmin string, he's a Brahmana. Prabhupada said, that thing costs a few paisa. You can hang a keys on it. He is this and he is that. So this designation rubbish can only stop when we come under the guidance of an authorized spiritual master who is hopefully also not just designated. Because when he is just designated, he will project his false identification into you. And that's society of cheaters and cheated. Here we go again. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We are 1 hour ahead, huh?
Yeah.
So I will change the clock now here. So it's 1 hour less. That's also very illusory thing, but they decided that today we are going to have less time. There was even a discussion to skip the whole thing.
What was the discussion about?
There was even a discussion to skip the whole thing. Because it creates so much headache, just all the clocks.
There's nothing that's, anything is saved immediately.
It's not astrological, isn't it?
No, it's because they have the idea that they get people up earlier when there's natural light, so the street lights don't have to be tied on for so long. It's actually for saving electricity. So and it's just,
and the whole world is changing clocks.
Yeah, no, it's nothing. And it's just, and actually they can measure this.